good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily this Monday morning. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome to the program. Just in case you do not remember, we're how many days away from Easter now? Today is March 23. It's still 2026. And by the way, students are gearing up for the exam for the second term. So expect your kids back home soon.
Well, not a bad one, but you know, quite a number of things made the round over the weekend. But last week, particularly, this presidential visit to the United Kingdom. I did observe it closely. Lots of commentary about that. But of course, you know, yes, it might have been significant. But let me just get certain things off my chest this morning. I know. Perhaps you might have also focused on that sometime last week, but there was a follow-up statement from the presidency about that UK deal, which the migration bit, the government did issue a press statement, the spokesperson of the presidency saying that deal is being misunderstood. So today, we're going to take them at their word and examine exactly what the deal does. So, beginning with what they wanted us to hear was like dignity, human rights violation in that press statement. All true, all carefully chosen. But none of them answered the question, the only question that matters: who benefits? Because here's what the deal actually does. It introduces something called a UK letter. Sounds harmless. It's not. Well, that single change allows the United Kingdom to deport Nigerians faster, with fewer delays and with far less dependence on Nigerian documentation. That is not theory, that is function. And why does that matter? Because the immigration is a political crisis in Britain, a real one. Pressure on the government, pressure to cut numbers, pressure to look in control. And now they can, because Nigeria has made it easier. This deal solves a British political problem. Now pause there. Ask yourself, what problem does this solve for Nigeria? Well, certainly not visas, because Nigerians will still have to sit for IELTS, still sit for TOEFL, still provide or prove they can speak English to a country that already knows they already do. Of course, students and families who are going for businesses or work visas or family visas can speak a little more about that. But not enforcement, because while Nigerians are being fast-tracked out of the UK, there is no fast-track system to remove foreign criminals from Nigeria. No urgency, no symmetry. So the movement is one direction, out of Britain into Nigeria. And let's follow the pattern, because the migration deal is not standing alone. It is getting right next to a £746 million port deal. And again, listen to the language: investments, modernization, partnership. But here's the reality. It is a loan, yes, a structured loan, arranged through Citibank, stating down there. But Nigeria will repay it with interest. But Nigeria will have to put down about 15% upfront before anything even begins in that particular deal. And then comes the condition. At least £236 million goes to British companies. A £70 million contract already secured by British Steel, 120,000 tons imported. And yes, even parts of the workforce must come from the UK. So let's say that plainly. Nigeria borrows the money, Nigeria pays the interest, Nigeria provides upfront capital, but Britain gets the contract. Britain supplies the steel. Britain protects the jobs. And then comes the question no one is answering. If Nigeria is serious about reviving Ajaokuta steel, why are we importing steel at this scale? You can't build industrial independence by locking in industrial dependence. And then the transparency bit. Who awarded the contracts? How was High-Tech selected? Because you understand they're part of the companies that are doing the construction. Was there a competitive process? What are the interest rates? What are the payment terms? Why are those details not leading this conversation or the conversation? Because when the most important numbers are missing, that is not oversight. That is design. Yeah. So, no, this is not misunderstanding. This understanding the deal exactly as it is. Britain gets faster deportation. Britain gets protected industry. Britain gets political relief. Nigeria gets returnees. Nigeria gets debt. Nigeria gets explanations. And that is the difference between a partnership and what is not. At least, well, who knows? When this eventually kicks on, of course, there'll be more details that will unfold, and we will be right on it to see how that eventually plays out. Ayo.
Well, very, very solid words there, Chamberlain. And part of that visit, the visit of the president included, among, that is one of the issues raised. There were also issues about, Nigerian banks having better foothold in the UK. And they also had conversations around security. And that formed part of the conversation that the Nigerian governors had when they visited the president after his UK visit. And they held a meeting yesterday as the Progressive Governors Forum, the APC governors. They concluded their meeting, and of course the tone was confident, the language was reassuring, the intent sounded right. But beyond the words, Chamberlain, a more important question emerges. What exactly changes for the ordinary Nigerian? On security, the governors were clear in principle. I mean, they affirmed that safety remains the foundation of national progress. They spoke about coordination, intelligence, international coordination and all, yet they stopped short of telling Nigerians what they themselves would do differently, how progress will be measured, or when citizens can expect to feel safe in their communities. And then the silence. At a time when the conversation around state policing is gaining urgency, the communique offered no clear position of the governors, no direction, no timeline. Even though we could have said, okay, we're having conversations with the National Assembly, zilch. This is not a minor omission. It is one of the most critical structural questions in Nigeria's security debate today. At a time also when security agents, consultants and all are talking about local government administrations as the first line of defense. The commitment of the president to state police and local government autonomy is unequivocal. And yet, we didn't quite hear anything about that, or maybe I missed it. On the economy, there is an acknowledgement that reforms are difficult and hard and all. But again, the detail is missing. There are no timelines for relief to indigents, no concrete targets for job creation, no clear plan for stabilizing food prices, even though thankfully there are those who say some food prices are coming down. Instead, Nigerians are asked to hold on with the promise that present sacrifices will yield future gains. Oh, they highlighted social support as well, palliatives, youth programs, and support for small businesses. Little clarity on who benefits, how success is measured, how these interventions move people from dependency to stability. Oh, they also emphasize strong alignment between federal and state governments. But it raises another important question. Where does alignment end and independence begin? Nigeria's strength lies in the diversity of its states. I am sure that this truth is not lost on the governors. So, true progress will require not just coordination, but innovation. So, Chamberlain, we could go on and on about all of this. There's, of course, no debate about the mix or a blend of governance with politics. The challenge is where the lines are drawn. There is also no communication whatsoever about the influx of other people into the APC, which is the platform that they are on now. So many questions to ask, Chamberlain. The gaps are too glaring, and the governors have no reason to be quiet on this at a time like this. As at the last count, from what I understand, there are about more than 30 governors on the platform of the APC, even though 7 of them couldn't attend that meeting yesterday. And here we are. So where do we go from here? Or were there things that the president said to them that they didn't want Nigerians to know? Was the president also quiet with them on the local government autonomy issue, on the state police issue? The list goes on and on, Chamberlain. Let's close these gaps. They are governors.
Yeah, and you know, Ayo, there will be, in addition to what you've said, there are huge questions. The governors are receiving far much more money than they have been receiving previously. Of course, there will be the big question as to are their citizens or those residents in the state any better off, as you also have highlighted. Those are the big questions. So they can have all the political meetings and you know, the grandstandings and whatever they want to describe it. If they're asking the people to hold on for how long exactly? How long have you been receiving all of these monies? Yes, subsidy from the petrol has been removed. Everybody clamor for that removal. But what have the people gotten in return for that? So how has it improved their lives? Purchasing power parity going south. The value of the currency, well, I know you debate about that, but at least when you go out there, people are just grappling at straws to ensure they make ends meet. So economic issues have got to be dominant factor. And who knows if, I mean, asking you to hold on, it's just neither here nor there. But the other sad commentary for all of this, Ayo, is that the state houses of assembly, if you thought the National Assembly was a rubber stamp, how would you describe the state assemblies who cannot dare hold those governors to account? They cannot even dare it. So what do the people then do? Of course, there has to be a lot more questions and scrutiny about all of this. But now that most of them have all moved and junketed to the APC, they expect that nobody should ask them questions, no commissions to query how they've spent all of those funds. And so when they leave office, it's expected to be a slap on the wrist or a pat on the back, to say the least. But of course, the people are watching to see how all of this improve their lives. Because if not, they know what to do when that time comes. Well, give us a moment here. We'll go to break, but we'll be back and take a look at some of the issues that we've highlighted for you this morning. So don't go away. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, as you may know, the political landscape is shifting and all eyes are already on 2027. The People's Democratic Party, they're pushing ahead with their preparations for the elective convention, inaugurating over 20 committees under the leadership of Abdurrahman Mohammed, despite lingering internal divisions. At the same time, the ruling APC is also gearing up for its own convention, projecting, they say, unity and continuity as they consolidate their position. But perhaps the bigger question lies with the African Democratic Congress, a party gaining attention amid defections, yet grappling with, well, do we call it leadership tussle, involving the chairman, Senator David Mark, and Nafi Bala, with the matter still, well, before the courts? So, can the ADC truly emerge a formidable opposition force, or will internal legal battles undermine its momentum before it even begins? Well, joining us to discuss some of these matters, Simon Achuba, former Deputy Governor of Kogi State. Welcome to the program. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good morning, Chavalin.
Yeah, so a lot is going on, and of course the questions about the economy, we'll always find time to push that in because that is central to whatever else happens. But first of all, let's establish this. You're currently in ADC, right?
Yes.
Okay, are you going to vie for any position within the party as of yet?
For the convention or Congress?
Whichever.
No, for now, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm playing a leadership role.
That's across at the national level or at the state level?
Well, both at the national level and at the state level. At least today, in Kogi East, I'm leading ADC.
Oh, so as yourself and perhaps your party members, just observing the political landscape and seeing the likes of the PDP, the APC, even other parties are having state congresses and doing their thing. Does that in any way give you some concern as to when if we could use the phrase, the ADC will get off the blocks in terms of conducting or scheduling their own meeting to conduct either convention or congresses or whatever?
Yes, the ADC timetable for congresses are out, and that of the National Convention too. By the 7th of April, we are going to have the polling unit and ward congresses. On the 9th, we'll have the local government congress. On the 11th, we'll have that of the state. And on the 14th, we'll have the National Convention. Yes.
So all of this narrative, especially when you see the PDP, because I mean at the time that ADC was getting momentum and then having lots of people leave different parties to join the ADC, there were those who thought at the time that ADC was going to be the main opposition, because at that time the PDP too were still grappling with a lot of challenges. But now that it appears as though the PDP going on with their convention, people think they're coming together as a force. Do you think that is going to perhaps hurt the chances of the ADC as coming up, perhaps trying to be the main opposition?
No, at all. It has only brightened the chances of ADC.
How?
Because all that APC is helping us to achieve is to bring all the oppositions together and nothing more.
That's the APC,
yes,
helping the ADC to achieve.
Bringing all opposition together and nothing more. If they were wise, they wouldn't have fought PDP. They wouldn't have fought LP. They wouldn't have fought all these other parties that they sent in moles to disorganize. Now, opposition is one in Nigeria. And whether the 36 governors of Nigeria get to the side of the APC, Nigerians are not there. There is a disconnect. And of course, the PDP has a branch in APC, which is obvious.
How do you mean? Why? Because of the minister working with them?
Of course, he has. If you are in the party and you say you are going to vote for a different presidential candidate, you are already part of that party.
Is it because he has spoken out? Because there are members of different parties who will do for opposition, but they don't speak out.
Well, that is there. But for the one we know, there is very obvious that a branch of PDP is working with APC. It's very obvious.
So just him alone constitutes a branch.
But, well, no, it can't be him, but he hosts meetings with people, and all of them have no different opinion. So I call it a branch. PDP is factionalized as of today.
Is the ADC not factionalized?
No, ADC is not factionalized.
But if you have different groups laying different claims at the state level, different groups fighting to get control of the state structure because they want to ensure that they have a strong footing at the national level, isn't that some sort of fractionalization as well?
No, that is what APC is good at doing. They'll get into LP, raise moles, and sponsor them to destroy parties. And in so doing, shooting themselves on the foot. That's exactly what they have done. They have united opposition against themselves. And Nigerians are waiting. How the governors will take control of Nigeria in view of the current poverty, the biting economic situation, and the insecurity.
So how has that united the opposition? Because you have the Turaki group saying they're going to go ahead and talk to the Mohammed group and ensure that they form a common front. So in that sense, people could say the PDP still stands, however wobbly, and then the ADC also stands and still exists. So those are two separate political parties, two separate entities. How are they considered as one?
Oh, okay. Well, but you should also know that there is no possibility of the Turaki group, coming together to say they are supporting APC. It will be very difficult. So ADC's door is open wide. We are waiting for them because we are in the same boat. And we are waiting for them.
To do what?
Because we do not see any headway in that reconciliation. A reconciliation that is going to make you speak for a party you don't believe in will be difficult to come by. So we are waiting. And we just have one opposition party, and that is the ADC. So our doors are open. We have informed all our leaders at various levels, to keep their arms ready.
But what they keep saying is that for the presidential election or presidential candidacy, the Wiki Group will understand that they say they will not support a PDP candidate, but for every other position, they will stick to their party. So are you then assuming that they will not support any PDP candidate whatsoever, not just for the presidential or for the presidential ticket?
It only portrays what the alignment stands for. It portrays it, that there is a plan to rig election, to give a portion to the PDP APC, and to give a portion to APC. That is it. If not, how do you educate your supporters for an election that is coming up the same day? In looking at the literacy levels, especially at the local level, to vote for this party and vote for this party.
Is that rigged? Is that a plan to rig?
Of course, if not, it's difficult, because you say, oh, vote for so-so president, but when it comes to the senatorial election, you vote for so-so party. I mean, how does that make sense?
Yeah, but how does that constitute a plan to rig? If one says, I'm going to support this candidate, then I'll support this other candidate. How is that a plan to rig?
It doesn't carry the strength of what a political leader should do. Your leg is in boat A, your leg is in boat B, and you are moving. How are you not going to fall? Certainly you will fall.
But you just said now that ADC are waiting for people in the PDP who will come in and join them.
Yeah.
So isn't that almost the same kind of scenario? Because in their case, they're going to, if they don't get what they want, they go to another political party.
It's not the same. In the case of the faction of PDP that is saying they are voting for APC, is that their leg is in PDP, their leg is in APC. But the people we are expecting, if they are leaving to join ADC fully without being a member of PDP. That is the difference.
Okay, let's get across to Ayo.
It's good to see you again, Deputy Governor. I'm wondering, the membership of ADC is largely from members of the APC, PDP, Labour Party, even AFCON. What's the difference? What's going to be the difference between how they ran their party, which they couldn't stay in for one reason or the other, and now? A good number of the people in the ADC today helped, some people believe they helped, to put the PDP in its current position now. So what's the assurance you have that it's going to be different this time? Even you had to join the ADC from another political party. So what's the difference between where you are now and where all those other people are coming from?
The difference is in leadership. And the ADC, in her wisdom, has currently constituted a committee which is called the Policy and Manifestation Committee. And that committee is made up of 50 members, and they are called the 50 wise men. And the question and the task for these 50 wise men is, what is ADC going to do differently from parties that have previously existed in Nigeria? And this body is working. The committee has submitted its interim report, and the full report will be out for Nigerians to behold very soon. It is going to be that, yes, if we are taking We are asking for Nigerians to trust us and give us leadership. What are we going to do differently? Let's say for security. What are we going to do differently? Let's say in economy, under the economy, what are we going to do differently? So these questions will be answered in that paper, that manifesto paper that will be submitted very soon. But what I can assure you is that there is going to be a different approach on how we are going to lead Nigerians. If we say we are going to provide electricity, we must tell Nigerians how we are going to provide it. It is not just saying it for saying sake, just like the current president say, oh, if I don't provide electricity, don't vote for me. No. If you say you are going to provide electricity, what steps are you going to take? What are the schedules of progression in the provisions you are talking about? In 1 year, what level of electricity are you going to have? In 2 years, what level are you going to be? In 3 years, what level are you going to be? You must tell Nigerians that. So we are going to give out a policy formulation that will make Nigerians know and be convinced that we are coming out and we mean to lead well.
Well, Mr. Chuba, I see that the ADC has also announced the nomination forms are out now. Can you tell us what the prices are looking at? Because because from what we understand, a good number of people cried hue. There was a lot of hue and cry about the cost of nomination forms in the APC and the PDP. Is it different for the ADC? What's the form? What's the cost of the form, for instance, for maybe governors or senators or House of Assembly members or the presidential nomination form in your party?
Now, the ADC has not rolled out the cost of nomination form for the primaries of the office of the president, the vice president, governor, deputy, the National Assembly, and other elective offices. But we have our convention nomination forms. And that is what we have currently. And what we have at the state level is whoever is contesting for chairmanship at the state level will pay 500,000. Whoever is going to contest for secretary at the state level will pay 300,000. Whoever is going to contest for chairmanship at the local level will pay 40,000. Who is going to contest for secretary at the local level will pay 30,000. And it goes on like that. At the ward level is 10,000 for the chairmanship of the party. And ADC is doing this so that we can all own the party together and not leave the party for any money bag or any founder of the party. We want ADC to be owned by the people. And so it is a participatory democracy where everybody, be the member, also must be a financial member.
Okay. Well, one of the challenges a number of people have raised, particularly about political parties in Nigeria, is the way they are funded. And you can't argue with the fact that a good number of people who have crossed into the ADC, they have some, banks, some heavy war chest, financial war chests to throw around. So, but you are saying that this is one of the ways in which the party is going to be funded, for nomination forms and all of that. How else is the party funded? Is it from membership dues? Does INEC also contribute any amount whatsoever to the ADC as well?
Oh, the membership card is out and currently is about 1,000 naira for each person. And that is very sure we are funding the party. So we have other sources. We may have individual donors, but we will not. The ADC is not going to open our door for an individual to own the party and at any time that he wills, come to destroy it or withdraw the power and then leave the party empty. No, the ADC will not do that.
Comes up and says, I want to donate 100 billion naira to the ADC, you'll throw him out?
No, not exactly. If your intention for bringing $100,000 is to hijack the party, we will not allow it. But if it is to support the activities of the party, and then you abide by the rules and regulations of the party, when it comes to election.
I guess, you know, Mr. Achuba, we'll see how that plays out in the short term. But one last question from me. In 2015, in the run-up to the 2015 election, the major contenders were the APC and the PDP, and we saw how that played out. In 2019, the major contenders were the APC and the PDP as well. In 2023, PDP was really nowhere to be found. It was the Labour Party more. Even though PDP was also a major contender, the Labour Party held quite some sway in that election. But there are those who are saying that a good number of things could have been done better to give the Labour Party a better chance. And of course, it didn't happen. And that popularity seems to have waned now, and it seems the new bride is the ADC. What are the lessons that you would say, as someone who has been in politics for long enough, the ADC has learned from the errors of the past made by the PDP, the Labour Party, and other opposition parties across the country?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the PDP has learned, the ADC has learned so much from the events of the years you have mentioned. And that is why we are taking steps, one after the other, to make sure that the errors of the past do not catch up with us. And one of it that I told you is that we will not allow anyone own the party. Everyone must contribute and own the party equally. And secondly, we, as a party, we are going to ensure that a plain equal ground is given to all, where there will be justice and fairness to all that is in contest, such that after the congresses and after the primaries, there will be little or no uprising. Because once a system is fair and just, and you know you have won or you know you have lost, you will have nothing to quarrel about.
But now they say that that may not exactly be the case, because in Kogi State, there's talk that the former governor has his supporters in ADC in Kogi State, who are also going to play a very, very influential role.
Well, he may have supporters with the hope that, well, if I'm disappointed in APC, I will join ADC. If those are possible political arrangements. And of course, our door, as I said earlier, our doors are open. If Governor Ododo and his group comes in today, we welcome them.
No, not the governor, the former governor.
All of them, irrespective of whoever comes in.
Why would the governor want to join the ADC when he's in the ruling party, he's the incumbent governor? Of course, they'll say, being a sitting governor, he has a chance of returning. Why would he want to go to opposition?
Oh, that question is just only for him. Well, if you are staying in a room and the accommodation becomes very stuffy, you will need to breathe.
What makes it stuffy right now?
Well, I wouldn't know.
He's a governor, so he won't say it's stuffy for him at the moment.
No, Bello is no longer the governor.
No, I mean the current governor now. With respect to you saying he can come to the ADC, like, why? Why would they want to do that?
Well, I wouldn't know. You only suggested that. I say if he comes.
No, I said that there's talk that the former governor has a supporter strongly rooted in the ADC. And of course, if you have your supporters in a certain party, you expect them to take decisions that will benefit your interest.
It has become a Nigerian pattern of late. When a governor is afraid that, look, I may lose my...
I said the former governor, not the current governor.
I may lose my pursuit in this party. they start making alternative arrangements. They begin to lay plans for plan B. So once that fails, then they come to the plan B to survive. And that is what has been going on. And of course, you should know that even these governors who have moved into APC, you will see the surprises many of them will face. Not only that, many of them went there out of fear of intimidation and all that. So they are there, and their hearts may not be there. And that is why the 2027 election is a puzzle that no one knows about.
So what makes you think you have a strong footing in ADC in Kogi State if the other party members have their supporters strongly embedded in the party?
They are embedded not to destroy, but they cannot destroy us.
It means you cannot get what you may desire fully.
Who?
Yourself.
Who will get? Nothing disturbs it. We are united. We have a common front. And so the group that is coming, they will also see the unity of purpose in the leadership, and they will join.
So what do you hope to contest for within the ADC in the state?
I'm not contesting for any position. I'm only providing leadership.
Oh.
For now, yeah.
So who would you support for the ticket since you're providing leadership? You must have some candidates who you prefer to others.
Yes, as a leader, you don't come to the television to announce, oh, what I'm doing, particularly in Kogi, is to give everybody equal playing ground. For those who are contesting for the convention, for the congresses. And we will do the best that we can to ensure that we move forward peacefully.
Is there a chance whatsoever? Because now the ADC, of course, in opposition in the state, because the governor is in the ruling party, and so chances are that the ADC can only try, but you may not get it.
No, we are very sure. I told you in 2023 that we're going to win, and we won. We won that election. Nigerians know. And in this election, we are going to win again by the grace of God. We won, clearly.
Even though the courts didn't think so.
Well, if they don't, we will continue. We'll continue to the organizations and all the institutions in Nigeria are having issues out of bad leadership. All sectors. It's not just court. All sectors. What of the INEC that allow overvoting and said nothing? So.
But concerning the ticket of the party, the presidential ticket of the party, of course you know that there are different groups also organizing at the grassroots level to see how they can build support from bottom up. And then speculations as to who may get that ticket, who will pair with, who gets that ticket. How do you think that's going to play out at the end of the day? Because there will be persons who will not be happy at the end of the day.
Oh, it's normal in politics, and it's normal in every contest. Even in channels television here, maybe if you have your labor union in channels, 2 or 3 persons will come out to contest. Only one can win at a time. And what my appeal to everyone who loses is to have that spirit of sportsmanship, to accept you have lost, and then you cooperate with who has won to move forward. Nigerians must take that part to ensure that we move forward as a nation.
Isn't it going to be the same way that you said your party, you're waiting for those who will be disgruntled or dissatisfied with the other political parties to join your party? So wouldn't it be the same thing? Because they too will be waiting for those who will not be happy with your party to join their party.
No, it will happen in our own, because our ideology is different.
What's the ideology?
The ideology is to give everybody equal playing ground and not select. When they say, oh God, the leader say, oh, this is the person he wants, and that is all. No, we are not going to do that. ADC is not going to do that. We are going to ensure that a level playing ground is given to all aspirants. If you win, you will see clearly you have won. If you lose the election, you also see clearly you have lost. So there will be no need going to the court. And that's what we expected from the electoral reforms that came up until the National Assembly started playing funny.
Why was the party not happy with the National Assembly in terms of the way party is selected? Because if you say whichever way we will be happy. Why were they having issues with that?
You know, how can the National Assembly, you know, go through a process, agree on what to do, and overnight turn its back and say no, it cannot be? Why are they afraid? If you have 36 governors with you, why are you afraid of electronic voting? Why?
Well, that's another conversation entirely.
Yeah.
So what do you say to the groups or supporters of Nafiu Bala who are rejoicing, saying by the ADC constitution, as former deputy national chairman, he is naturally the successor, having seen the resignation of the party chairman Wosu? So he claims that he is the authentic chairman of ADC and not Senator Mark.
Now, today is not when Senator Mark took over the leadership of ADC. Why did it take him so long to revive and go to court this hour? After, he should have gone to court even before David Mark and others were sworn in.
Doesn't matter when he went to court.
That is to tell you he made himself an available tool to be used, as it is the culture of the current APC leadership. He made himself an available tool, and he's being used. See, what my advice
How
to
do you
people...
substantiate that claim? Because in the court...
I've given you a narrative. Like now, if I contest an election or something is done wrong to me, at least within a week, I will move to say, look, this thing is not, even before it is done.
Yeah, but...
Because, you see, the details you may not have. He resigned. He signed. All the processes, he was part of it. So,
that's
my advice...
secretly.
Not
in the public.
It's never
not before the court.
No, it's before the court now.
No, that he resigned, huh?
Yes, it's there. Well, see, my advice to some people, they should know they have children. They should know they have a family. And they should know that they ought to stand with high moral standard in the society. If you allow yourself to be used, what do you think even the man using you will think of you? Like when somebody, you now become a tool in the hand of a politician. That same politician will fear you, because tomorrow, if Mr. B has the power or the money to give to you other than him, you are going to work against him. So those doing these things are causing damage to themselves. And it's very unfortunate. I don't know if they think deeply before taking up these jobs they are doing at various party levels. And tomorrow, Nigerians have not taken note of them. When they come up, they want to contest also election, they will refer back to your days, how you went about trying to destroy democracy. I urge them to repent and change and withdraw some frivolous petitions before the court, that Nigeria will have peace.
What gives you the impression that Nigerians will actually embrace or ADC will offer Nigerians anything different? Because if you look at a number of those who want this presidential ticket, many of them, Nigerians, have seen the script before. They've seen the positions they've occupied, they've seen the roles they played before, they've seen almost everything about them politically. And for many people, maybe not necessarily enthused about what to expect. So why do you think that Nigerians will embrace the party at the end of the day when they select their presidential candidate?
Okay. Now think back to the days of Senator David Mark. What was the economy like?
No, he's not vying for...
No. You said these people have played roles all around. I'm taking them one after the other.
Is it the part where he was quoted to have said, "Fund is not for the poor," or which one?
No, I'm not talking about that.
Oh, okay, which one are you talking about?
What I'm saying is, what was the National Assembly looking like? They provided leadership. The National Assembly was stable. And that is what we are talking about. Peter Obi led in Anambra. What was Anambra looking like as at that time? Amechi led in Rivers. What was Rivers like that time? And what is Rivers now? What is the situation of the country now compared to the time that these individuals were in government? There is a great difference in terms of the economy, the poverty level, as it were today. Today, Nigerians barely can feed. Today, insecurity is everywhere. You can't travel anyhow. And the APC-led government continues to tell Nigerians that they are on top of the situation, and Nigerians are dying the more each day. It is very troubling. All right. Very, very troubling.
We'll look to see how the party handles their affairs when the convention comes up and then the congresses, both at the state up to the top level, and see how all of that plays out eventually. So we thank you for coming on. Simon Achoba, former Deputy Governor of Kogi State, and then there's also an ADC chieftain playing a key role, he says, in Kogi East. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, back in a moment, everyone. Stay on with us.
The important thing of what happened on that final match is it undermines the good work that CAF has done over many, many years to ensure that that there's integrity, that there's respect, that there's ethics, that there's governance, as well as credibility of the results of our football matches. The occurrences, those incidences at the final match of the AFCON Morocco exposes is the work that we are still dealing with concerning the suspicion and distrust. It's a legacy issue. When I became president, one of the major concerns was the impartiality, the independence, and the respect of referees and match commissioners. And a lot of good work has been done, but there continues to be suspicion because it's a legacy issue. It's something that has been there for many, many years, and we consistently deal with that because that's critically important. Another important matter that these incidences at the final match brought to the fore is the independence and the respect of our judicial bodies. In choosing the members of our judicial bodies, we followed a different path, different from what had been the case before.
Welcome back to Sunrise Day. That still generating a lot of heat and controversy about Senegal being stripped of the AFCON title. Omobi Oparaku joins us this morning, former Super Eagles international. Good morning and thank you for joining us on the program today. Many are wondering, where have you been?
Morning. Good morning, family.
So good to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much.
Let's jump right into it. Give us your impression about this matter, because, I mean, having been lifted trophies yourself, playing for the country, and then you hear that the title has been stripped from you in the boardroom. What goes through your mind? What do you think is going through the mind of the players at the moment?
First, and we have to consider the winners, because I have to speak on my own opinion now. I'm not quoting anybody on this issue, but when you play football and the game is on the final level, something like this comes up, the referee has all to say, because in the rules of the game, The rules of the game, tells us that the referee has the final say. And the referee has already said what he thinks is the right thing. And now everything that he said have been turned around. I just don't understand, and I don't believe what the CAF officials or arbitration, wherever they went to, up to the decision. I'm not up to it because I don't believe in outside decisions when it comes to football. Football is a game of 22 players. They have to decide and do the right things.
Okay.
The referee, I think the referee did what he's supposed to do, and he didn't favor anybody. He did the right things, and by the end of the day, his decisions was good, and now the opting of his decisions is not acceptable.
All right. Let me bring it back home about the Super Eagles, because it was very dear to Nigerians' hearts. At the time you played, and then the trophies that you won, not just about the trophies that your team won, it was also largely about the way the team went about it, the character of the players. The team had an identity. We had a style of play. Almost in every department, Nigerians could identify with the national team at the time. But ever since then, there's been a huge difference. We're still struggling to see how we could replicate that feat that we did and then sustain it for a while. So could you tell us, having been deep in that team, what was the difference? What did we get right at that time? Why do we seem to be missing out now? Because yet again, we're not in the World Cup.
Thank you for bringing up this issue. This issue has been lingering all this while, all this time. Nobody is trying to bring it up so that it can be discussed on issues on a position like this. First and first, there was a beautiful, a stable, a truthful crew that was managing football in Nigeria, the NFF, the NFA crew, headed by the secretary was the Kanu man, and they weren't biased. There was nothing like where you coming from, or who you are, or what you represent. They're all about the truth, the truthful side of football. Everybody came out to upgrade football in Nigeria by that time. They made sure they brought in the good, the beautiful players that can exhibit the game of football. There was no biased mind. There was no tribal issues. There was nothing like that. And there's something I've been wary to say. The president that time, General Sani Abacha, he contributed a lot. He contributed more than 100% when we were, in the Super Eagles, when we were in play, when we were active. He was the one that was channeling issues that made us, became what we were that time. The Super Eagles and the national team in particular was one of the best in the world because of, the governing body. The governing body did everything, to empower the team, to empower Nigerian football, to make sure that there was nothing like tribal thing that, was coming in that time. That was what I always want to say, because that period, nobody cared about where you're coming from. It's what you can represent, what you can do, what you can, contribute, to upgrade, our game. And the management, the NFF crew that time, they weren't selfless. They weren't selfish. They were selfless because nobody was thinking about, what he or she would gain. They were thinking about the country itself. Everybody was like concentrating on what, they can do to upgrade the standard of our Super Eagles, team that time. It wasn't all about who you are and what you and where you're coming from. It's about what you can contribute, what you can give, what you can give to the country. And they try to,
All right, Bobby, what we'll do is, this is clearly just a tip of the iceberg. We'll have time to have a detailed, at least an elaborate conversation on this matter because, Nigerians love their football, love their sport. So we'd like to see what do we do right at that time, what is going on wrong now, how do we correct it moving forward. So in the meantime, well, thank you for your thoughts, your contributions this morning. We'll have to, of course, contact you subsequently and have a more elaborate conversation. So Mobi Opago, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right, there you go. That wraps it up today on the program. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Osor. Goodbye.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Keep your eyes peeled. Business Morning is on the hour.